Hi, this is David from Peak Writing, and I want to talk about the problem that I most often see when helping students with their research projects. And that problem is this. You get your topic, but after you have that topic, what next? How do you go about conducting research on that topic? And the answer is with a research question. With a research question, you now have a direction to your research and a focus for finding all of the things that you need to find. Okay, let's take a look at a quick, simple technique that I often give for this problem. First, what is a research question? It's a one-sentence question about your topic that gets answered with your research. Let's unpack that a little bit. First, research. There's a big difference between search and research. A search looks for one answer to a specific question. What's the speed of light? Not a problem. Should take us about the speed of light to find out that answer. However, when researching, you're looking for multiple answers to one question. Here's an example. Does a service dog improve life for cancer patients? A quick Google search provides an answer in about 3 seconds. But now let's turn that into a research question. In what ways does a service dog improve life for cancer patients? That question requires research. But even before diving into the research, you should be able to predict a list that will guide your research. Way number 1, it improves. Way number 2, way number 3. In other words, you now know that you'll be looking for ways in your research. Your research now has a direction. You know exactly what you'll be looking for about the use of service dogs in medicine. Here's another example. How much did world population grow in the 20th century? The answer is just a Google away. About 7 billion. Case closed, paper over. But now let's turn that into a research question that generates a list. What fueled world population growth in the 20th century? That question requires research. It requires a list that must be researched. Factor 1 that influenced the growth, factor 2 that influenced the growth, factor 3. This list means that we know exactly what to look for, the factors that influence world population during that time period. And sure enough, as we begin researching, we quickly discover the 3 main factors. Advances in medicine, factor 2, advances in sanitation, factor 3, advances in nutrition. Moreover, you also in your research are discovering multiple advances that were made in medicine, multiple advances in sanitation and nutrition. Covering just one set of those advances might be all you can manage in your 6 to 10 page paper or whatever length it is. In other words, you started out with a strong initial direction. And now your research has made it clear you need to narrow the question. This is both natural and expected. In this case, we would focus either on the advances in medicine or in sanitation or in nutrition. So we revise our initial question. What advances in medicine influenced world population in the last century? Now your list would be medical advance number 1, medical advance number 2, medical advance number 3. Now on the other hand, there may also be times when you need to broaden your question. For example, you begin to research the effects of artificial sweeteners, but then you realize your question may be too narrow. How did aspartame affect postmenopausal women in the 1980s who suffered from migraines? So let's broaden that research question to, how does aspartame affect women who suffered from migraines? Now you'll have a much easier time finding answers about effect number 1 of aspartame, effect number 2, effect number 3. Narrowing or broadening the original research question should be an expected part of your research process. Okay, time for a quick review. How would you revise this bad research question into one that must be answered with a list? Does online writing advice have any effect on adult students? Think about it. Find the word that would allow you to build a list. Effect number 1, effect number 2, effect number 3. Let's try one more. Do medications alleviate symptoms of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD? That is a search question. It calls for a yes or no answer. Let's turn it into an effective research question. How effective are medications in treating symptoms of ADHD in high school students? Now, is it narrow, and does it generate a list? Yes. Effectiveness of medication 1, effectiveness of medication 2, effectiveness of medication 3. So, to summarize, a good research question generates a list of answers. As you implement this strategy, be sure to avoid these 3 traps. Number 1, the unanswerable question. These are questions like, how can humans be so cruel to each other? Is man inherently good or evil? Well, God only knows. But if we changed it to, what are the leading causes of murder in the U.S.? We now have a list of factors to research. Cause number 1, cause number 2, etc. Trap number 2, avoid the opinions. In other words, if you ask a question like, which national park is the best? That would result in an opinion paper, not a research paper. However, if you want to really research national parks, try this question. What features do the most popular national parks have? And now you see the word that can help you produce a list. Feature number 1, feature number 2, feature number 3. Third trap, avoid why questions. Why questions do not always elicit clear and specific answers. Why do some companies continue to pollute the water despite regulations? Well, now you have to look at motives. So turn that kind of why question into a what or how question. Now let's end with this quick checklist. First, is it approved? After you've generated your topic and research question, make sure that your instructor, thesis advisor, or committee members approve of your research question. And make sure you have this approval before diving into your research. 2, are you objective? Are you trying to convince your audience to believe what you cherish rather than answering a research question in an objective way? You may have very strong feelings about the protection of coral reefs, and your opinion is they should be highly protected and we need to do more to protect them. Well, that's an opinion. You're doing a research paper, and the research paper would ask a far different question. The third trap, answerable. Is the research question answerable with the research method and time that you have to develop it? And finally, doable. Do you have the knowledge and the experience and the skills required, or are you biting off more than you can chew? Do you have the sufficient equipment? Do you have the time? And if it involves funds, such as paying participants or paying for surveys, do you have the funds you need to conduct your research? So those are some of the considerations that you should definitely think about as you fabricate the important research question. Thanks for watching. I hope this video helped you learn how to turn a research topic into a research question. Check out this video for instruction on the entire research paper, start to finish.